To have passion in life is everything.
What's your Everest?
Oh,
Is it
yeah.
that 200-inch buck?
They just look so impressive when they're wide.
Especially running away.
Welcome to this week's episode of Eastmans Elevated.
It's like a think tank for outdoor activity.
Sounds exactly like my hunting. Just always thinking about it, always trying to evolve it and make it better.
Here's your host, Brian Barney.
Yo, what's happening, guys? Brand new Eastman's Elevated solo episode. So thought I'd get on here and catch you guys up about my elk season and mule deer hunting, and we'll just see where the conversation goes. Heck, it's more it's solo. It's just me. So I guess we'll see where this therapy session goes, but try to get you guys some good information for the rest of season here, and hopefully some good hunting stories along the way. So just want to thank my sponsors real quick. So I want to thank all my sponsors. They really stand behind the podcast and pay for my time to be able to put these out each and every week and put full effort into it. So thanks a bunch to these guys. If you're in the market for any of the gear they sell, make sure to check them out. Just top end, the best stuff in the market, and super impressed with them. So thanks to Mountain Archery Fest, Everly Stock, Matthews, thanks to Savage, Sig Sauer Optics, Sportsman's Warehouse, Zamberlin Boots, Black Rifle Coffee Company, Cutter Stabilizers, High Mountain Seasonings, Onyx Maps, and Swagger Bipods. Also, thanks to Eastmans and everything they do for the podcast. You can check out both magazines, Eastman's Bow Hunting Journal, Eastman's Hunting Journal. Get a promo code if you punch in Elevated321, both magazines for $50. Just, gosh, I don't know how I missed it. It's just hunting season here, but the last Eastman's Bow Hunting Journal, my buddy Dylan Ness had an article in there, that great big bull he killed last year. Did a great job writing that, but I just really enjoy the subscriber stories. I had another guy send me a story last night to kind of proofread, so I'll read that, and yeah, I really enjoy the stories in there, really enjoy the staff articles. I was looking through that magazine Dylan was in, and Dan Picard had a couple articles in that one. One on calling elk, and then another one on finding elk. And that guy's such a great elk hunter. Just have a ton of respect for him, and really well-written articles. So just a bunch of good content in there to help make you guys better Western hunters. Also, make sure to check out the YouTube, Eastman's Hunting TV on YouTube, and also Eastman's Hunting TV on the Outdoor channel. All right, with that, man, late October here, just getting into muley season here, wrapped up elk season. What an elk season, man. You know, I've realized that, you know, these seasons, it doesn't go as scripted, or it doesn't go as planned. Like, there's always going to be challenges. You know, I'm just never sure what they're going to be. And sometimes they're mental challenges, like that Colorado buck and missing that thing. You know, just putting my heart and soul into that hunt, and that high country hunt, and really tailing that buck and hunting that buck smart, making the right moves, and then duffing that shot. And I've already talked about that and hashed it out, and time heals all, you know. So it's like, you know, it's just not a perfect game. And you wouldn't imagine, like, the good hunters that send me messages, all types of hunters, from beginners to the most experienced, that send me a message and go, hey, I missed a buck this year too, or hey, I had this happen to me this year too. You know, don't beat yourself up, or whatever the case is. But it just makes me realize that all of us bow hunters will fail no matter how hard we work. Like, it's a prerequisite. Like, you know, failures are the building blocks to success, and we learn far more from our failures than we do our successes. And so it's just part of the journey, but it's tough when it means so much to you. You work so hard at it, and you just, you know, I pride myself on being clutch in those shots and making those shots. I pride myself at making good stalks and being a good bow hunter, but it's just not a perfect world. It's so difficult that you're going to come up against failure, you know, and the only option you have is to dust yourself off and get back on the horse and keep putting forth effort. Like, effort just seems to pay off in the end. And, you know, once it is the off season, or even during season, it's putting in that work. Like, the enjoyment of bow hunting, you know, Like, I can't get too tied to the success of bow hunting. Like, that can't be what drives me. Like, that's what we all want. That's what we're all striving for. I mean, I guess it is what drives me in the off season that I think about success, but really, like, I just need to enjoy the process and enjoy the journey, enjoy the adventure. Like, we're all just clicking off years. Like, we're all getting older, and if the only time I'm enjoying hunting is when I'm successful, then I'm, it's not I'm not in it for the right reasons, and sure, I enjoy the success and I enjoy, being on the top of the mountain and arrowing a good critter. But really, I enjoy the entire process. I enjoy the adventure. I'm so fortunate to be able to get the time to go have these wild adventures where life isn't nerfed. There's no seat belts. Can't turn the water in on the tap. Like, you're just self-reliant, and able to go out there and really push myself mentally and physically. And it's tough to put yourself in these uncomfortable situations, but I thrive in them and I like them. It goes back to my wrestling days that taught me to like this hard work and like putting effort in anything worth having. It's going to take effort. It's not going to come easy. And it's probably not going to come when you expect it either, So what do I need to do? Put my nose back to the grindstone and continue to improve as a bow hunter, continue to get better, and success will come. You put in the work and success will come. Absolutely, 100%. So after that Colorado miss, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't down a little bit, but just had to get back at it and get back after my elk season. So started elk hunting. I drew a tag in Idaho. It wasn't the tag that I like, that I've been hunting the last couple years and killed a couple good bulls at. It was a new unit for me, so had to dive into that unit. Did some good e-scouting. I think my downfall in that unit was just not having enough time, like trying to squeeze it into such a short window. And it's another lesson for me as well, as I love barney construction, and I'm really fortunate to make a living in Ennis, Montana. And I enjoy the day in, day out, the challenges of it, and building these homes and working for good clients. And I enjoy it, but sometimes I take on a little too much. And sometimes I think I can, leave my business partner with things or leave my crew with things. And I really need to be present and be there. And so, it's tough to be gone when I've got 3 houses going, So that, not that it put a damper on my season, but it definitely put a damper on my time. And so I've got to continue to figure it out through barney construction to make sure that I've got the time that feeds my soul, to be able to go all in on bow hunting. And, Eastmans, we need bow hunting videos this year. And so, they're sending me with a cameraman here and there. And, oh, man, a cameraman, it's love-hate for sure. I have really good guys that come with me. It's just getting 2 people into range is such an added degree of difficulty. And sometimes I just feel like bow hunting and I get frustrated. But, the deal is Eastmans believes in me and needs bow hunting films. And for me to fill bow hunting tags, I need time on my side. And so, we're all limited on time. I think time is the most precious commodity, especially as we get older. We put so much effort into our work, whether it's 5-6 days a week, 8-10 hours a day, mornings, evenings, but you just use so much of your good energy at work. And it's necessary. I'm a blue-collar guy, and I've got to pay bills, and, I provide a good life for my family that I take pride in, and it's a good thing. It's just as I get myself to a good position or a better position, I need to value time over money. So it's like just need to make sure I've got time to go do these fly fishing adventures, to go do my bow hunting. So when it's September, the only thing I'm thinking about is trying to kill an elk. So when it's November, the only thing I'm thinking about is trying to kill a mule deer. And, I've been a weekend warrior for years and paid my dues that way. And so, I've had some good seasons now where I've been able to have good time, and I just want to continue down that path to make sure I set myself up for success during season and set myself up to have some fun. The fall just comes and goes so quick. It's just like a snap of the fingers. And, I've got to be there for my family. I've got to get things done at work, but I've also got to soothe this soul and go find adventure and have time on my side and not be thinking about a million different things, which I've done a good job of, like being in the moment and fairly stress free when I'm on the hunt and in the moment I'm bow hunting. But elk season I was just limited on time, so I had this Idaho, this new tag. I had been in the unit before. My buddy Dan, we hunted it like mule deer season one year. I'd killed a muley buck in the high country and went down, and I'd kind of scouted this unit for mule deer, and so we went down there with Dan, and we found some smaller bucks, but what we found is a handful of bulls working around, and Dan got a tag, and we were really close chasing a couple 6 points there towards the end of the hunt, and so I kept that in the back of my head. And then this year I couldn't get the tag I wanted with the Idaho tag deal they did. So I ended up in this new unit, which, $800 is a lot to spend for a tag, and to only give it a handful of days. It's just, it wasn't my plan for season, but it's what I had this year. I had to take care of responsibilities, and I know Montana, and I've got really good bow hunting in Montana, so I was limited amount of time, but I gave it a few days. I saw some elk. I saw decent bull that I went for. It was a big adventure go at night, walking back with the headlamp long ways over there, and he didn't show up or gave me the slip. And just not a lot of elk in that unit, not a lot of action, hot and dry this year. The drought had hurt the feed in there, and really it came down to just not having enough time, and in the limited amount of time that I had, I just couldn't create an opportunity. And so then I'm off to Montana, and looking forward to my Montana elk hunt. And really what it made me realize too is that I spent so much of my time hunting mule deer in Nevada and Colorado, and I took a bunch of time to hunt them and hunted them all the way into early September, and so I burned a lot of my time hunting mule deer, but it just reminded me that public land elk are tough. Public land bulls, and then trying to kill a mature 6 point, you need time on your side. A lot of days or a lot of years, I'll have 20 days into elk season. So it just made me realize as I come into a tough elk hunting season, and I've had great success the last couple of years where, I've killed 2 bulls a year, and they've all been good trophy 6 point bulls. And so, not that I think it's going to be easy, but I think, I'll go over, I'll take a week here in early October or a week in late September, and I'll go over and I'll go find a bull and I'll go kill him. And it's just not that easy. Like it's a grind to kill a public land bull, And so, again, I need time on my side, but I also need to put more emphasis and effort on elk. Like I'm kind of, I'm almost like resting on my laurels. Like I'm almost just resting on my previous knowledge, and I can get it done in this window of time because I have for the last handful of years or 10 years or whatever. And so, it reminds me that I need to put more effort into elk. I need to be hunting them early September, all the way through mid-September, late September, into October. And I like. It's my home state, and so I don't have to choose all my time in one window, one 10-day window. I can take a Friday and a Monday, or Thursday and a Friday, and I can go do these 4 to 5 day assaults. And what that does is it gives me different portions of the season where things change. And so, I rolled to one of my favorite elk hunting spots, and the feed had just burned off. I think I was telling you guys about it, but the feed had burned off, and so the elk were in the fields, and so playing a lot of private public. But, I got some good action. My buddy Sean killed a good bull, and it was good elk hunting. Well, it wasn't. It was tough elk hunting. That's what it was. It was just beating my head against the wall, trying to just cover this country, looking for these elk that didn't want to be there because it was such a drought year, and they were on the edge of the fields, and then started playing the private public game, which gets really frustrating. But you just keep playing the game, and it's not quite the way to kill a big one either. It's like maybe a satellite 6 point will make a mistake and come out of the herd. But really, to get the whole herd or to get the big one to make a mistake, they kind of know their borders and know where they're at. But I did get some action, and I probably should have headed back in there, but after giving it a long week and seeing what the elk conditions are, I headed back to my home valley, headed back to the mountains that I know so well, that I've been here for 20 years hunting horns and hunting bulls and things, and figure I'm gonna give it hill around here and hunt during these conditions. And so I came back. My buddy Dan ended up going back out there, and he said a lot of the elk had left the fields and were running canyons and coulees, and he had some good action over there chasing bugles. Said it was tough to locate them, but it just reminds me that I, to take all my time in one window. You don't know what you're going to get. And if you can go back and, I got a 6-week season here in Montana. So if I can keep going back and giving it 4 or 5 days here or there. And I like mixing it up. It's really nice that with a special tag in Montana or a general tag that I can hunt so many units. And a lot of elk hunting is timing. And so just reminds me that I have to continue to work if I want to fill these tags consistently and fill them with good bulls. I like chasing big 6 points. I've been hunting elk a long time, and that's what gets me excited. And so that's what I like to chase. And for me, it's either a big 6 or nothing. I usually get enough meat for the freezer and get us through winter, and so that's not really a concern for me. And so really for me, and I absolutely love elk meat, and I love, I give some away to family and friends, and then elk really do make the difference for me and my family making it through winter on wild game. I haven't had to buy meat for 10, 15 years or whatever, which I'm really proud of. I mean, we had elk steaks last night that were just amazing. So I love the wild game, don't get me wrong. I keep a pretty full freezer, I killed a Nevada buck, I killed a 3-axis deer, killed a bear, killed an antelope, so I could make it through season. But my point is that, for me, it's big 6 or nothing. Those are the ones that get me excited. So, more effort into it, but I came back, started hunting my own valley. And the nice thing about my own valley is I do have time on my side, that even though I need to get work done, during the week, is I can glass mornings and I can glass evenings. And so, there's a time elk season to be bombing into all these places and what you do, to kill an elk, you have to be into elk. That's one of the major challenges with them. And so, you've got to find elk, and they're not spread out all over the landscape. They like certain areas, and they work like this network of country. They're nomadic. You could walk into the best elk spot in the world, and you could be 2 days late, and the elk are all out of there. There isn't any bulls in there. Isn't any elk in there. Or 2 days before they show up. They just work such a network of country, and they're such nomads that you have to have really good elk spots, and then you have to go heat check these spots. You have to go hike in. You have to go grab a vantage point. You have to go listen and see if you can hear bugles. All the time you're looking for tracks and looking for sign and looking for rubs. So, there's doing that, and then there's also there's a lot of glassing that can be done from afar. It's amazing how far you can see an elk from. I mean, you can see an elk from 10 miles, and as we start to get weather later in the season, that starts moving these elk around and moving them, to lower elevations where they can be spotted. And so, a lot of my elk knowledge too comes from, driving to different locations and glassing, and elk is all about glassing at the right times. And so when I can add these mornings and evenings and be glassing for elk, trying to find the elk, and then once I can find them, then I can go hunt them, and then I'm in them. So, it's sitting behind my glass morning and night. It's getting my work done throughout the day. It's really a good mix for me. It's a real advantage to live where I can elk hunt, where we have good numbers and good bulls. And so I just started running around and started glassing mornings and nights, and then started taking days here and there. If I had a free Thursday, I was going elk hunting. If I had a free weekend, I was going elk hunting. And And when I did have the days to go in, I would know where the elk were because I'd been glassing. I'd know where I'd seen elk, and I'd go bomb in there and go elk hunting. So I was really putting on a bunch of miles. It sounds like kind of a lazy approach to it, but it's just a smart approach to it. It's just this mix of finding these elk before I bomb into these places, knowing where the elk are. And with 20 years experience, like, when you hunt a spot over and over and over, like, you get to learn things. When you hunt horns into places, when you glass all the time, you get to know where the elk are and what they're doing. And not only that, but you start to figure out what elevation you're seeing elk, what features they're on, where the elk are coming to. And then I can transpose that information to different places in the valley, and I can go bomb into this place. And sure enough, there's elk there because they're supposed to be there because of my knowledge base and knowing this valley. And so I started bombing in, and I was putting on good miles. There's one day I put on close to 4,000 vert and double-digit miles, and mountain miles are tough. Like, it reminds me why I train so hard. And, again, I'm in the middle of mule deer season right now, and we did over 30 miles in 2.5 days, and I was back running yesterday. Even I don't have any joint pain or anything, but my knees could feel it. Not only was it 30 miles with my backpack, with my camp on my back with a 40-pound pack or 35-pound pack or whatever it is. So a lot of miles, a lot of elevation, but I'm back on the trails, yesterday running. And not that I absolutely went for it. It's kind of a slower pace, and it was just getting out and getting it. It's just like day in, day out. But hunting these mountains just reminds me, like, what kind of shape you got to be in. Like, you can't be in good enough shape. But I'd gone through the early seasons and had some big hunts, and all my trainings throughout the years was paying off and putting in, good effort in the mountains chasing these elk. And the deal is sometimes it can just be hard to find a big 6-point. For every big 6-point, there's a lot of 5s and small 6s. And so, bombing into these places and not really seeing a shooter bull. And I was having a tough time locating a big bull. Finally, I found one and able to hunt them for a couple days up in these features. And then we had a big mega snowstorm that was going to come in. And it was a mega October snowstorm where it snowed feet in the mountains. I mean, it dumped, got cold, snowed a foot in the valley. In fact, the one day I was out glassing, and out in this country, it's the snow drifts that get you. And so I was in my truck. I had a buddy, Ryan, that came down, hunted with me for handful of days or whatever. He was trying to get it done. And so we went out glassing that morning after the storm, because everything kind of resets after the storm. It had moved things around, and I had a good idea where the elk were and was hunting them hard. But after that big snowstorm, I knew things were going to change and things were going to move around. So went out glassing that morning to kind of figure out, and again, just find those elk, and then I can go hunt them. And so we saw some elk for sure. Nothing in a real go spot or anything, and just getting a feel for it. So I'm driving around, and the front side of the loop is pretty good, and this loop will come back out on the highway. And so driving the back side of the loop, and the snow's getting pretty deep, and you go through this one draw, and then it gets pretty deep, and I come into this corner, and it poofs all this white snow, and all I can see is white. Like all of a sudden, and I'm just on the gas, and I'm counter steering back and forth trying to keep it straight, and all of a sudden the truck comes to a stop, and I'm buried. So super cold out. I don't know what it was, 20 degrees or something like that, and blowing like crazy. I'm sure the wind chill's below zero, and blowing snow and storming, and we're out there shoveling, and it's like it's just Montana. It's just the way it goes. It's not the first snowdrift I've been stuck in. And so dig out the whole bottom side of the truck and get it dug out. And then you're just trying to get my momentum going. And I want to back out and turn around and go the way I came, because I know I can make it. But my momentum, when the truck starts to move, carries me forward, carries me through the drift. And so I make it through the drift. It's just blowing in, like, as soon as I get out of it. So I look back, and it's like, man, I'm going to bury myself back in that corner again. I'll just go out to the highway this way. And so we start bombing through, and it's drifty. Like I'm pushing drifts and I'm counter steering and I'm back and forth. But now I'm committed. There's no place to turn around, and it's miles adrift. Like it's crazy how deep it is. And all of a sudden, I can see this. I can see something up just off the edge of the road up ahead. I'm like, is that a fence? What is that? And I'm just screaming. The truck's all revved up, and I'm counter steering back and forth and trying to, like in these snowdrifts, you really have to keep your momentum. And so I'm just going back and forth. And as I get closer, it's this truck that is buried up over the hood of the truck with the in the snowdrift. And they had slid off into the ditch and nobody around. Like I would always stop and help somebody in Montana, but there's nobody around. So I went screaming by that truck, trying not to sideswipe it, trying to get back out to the highway. All of a sudden, the snowdrift is just so deep, and I'm losing momentum and trying to keep it straight, and all of a sudden, I'm stuck again, and I'm buried. And there is no turning around. There's no going back by that truck. I've been through miles of snowdrift, and it's a half a mile to the highway. Like, I am in a bad spot. So, you just get out, just start digging, start assessing the situation, and it's a good lesson too, like to always be prepared. And in Montana, you just always have snow shovels in your truck. Actually, to tell you the truth, I did not have my snow shovel in my truck, but I did have my standard construction shovel. I always have a shovel in there, but I should have had both shovels. I've got this bomber snow shovel in there, and I just forgot to throw it in. I threw it in the next day, but I did have one standard construction shovel. But my point is to always be prepared. I'd filled up my gas that morning, knowing that it was going to be snowy conditions, and you can't run out of gas, and you'll burn a ton in these snowdrifts and things. And so we got out, started digging, tried to get momentum, and truck just won't move very far. So had to dig out the back tires and then chain that thing up and dig it out some more, and then finally able to grip and get some momentum and just rallied out to the highway. And so able to get my truck out anyways, but always a challenge. It was a couple hours of digging and messing around. But, this snow can be good around the valley. It can also push a lot of these elk down to private. So that big bull I'd found that I was hunting, and I really had him patterned and felt like I was going to kill that big 6-point if I just caught him in the right spot. Just catch him in the right meadow, bedded in the right spot. Because he's on these weird timbered ridge lines that you kind of have to still hunt, but there's a couple meadows in there. And so if I could just see him in one of these meadows and see where he beds, maybe I could set up for the evening. So I was just playing the game with him, and then this snowstorm kicked him down to private. Nothing I can do, sit there and watch him on private. And it's like, well, that isn't going to work. And it pushed a lot of elk down on private. And it can be frustrating, again, playing this private-public game and thinking all these elk are down, where I can't get to them. But it's not the case. There's tons of elk in the mountains, and there's tons of places where they do come out where you can hunt them, and also some of these elk will stay high. And so, I've been around this valley enough to know that I can't get frustrated, even though I can see a bunch of elk on private, that there's other elk around. And so just started playing the game, and again, knowledge base. Like, I know when these winter storms come in, where these elk are going to show up at. And so I keep looking at these spots and keep hunting, and it wasn't like the day the kind of storm broke where you think you expect to see a bunch. I didn't see too many, and saw some elk that were close to public or crossing public, and so set Ryan up on those, and I was just gonna keep looking and keep trying to find the batch I wanted. The other thing with the snow is you can glass tracks. And so, if the sunshine gets on the hillside, you can see feeding features. You can see where elk are without having to be there at first light, last light. So you can cover more country. And so, I just run on my same program. And if there was ever a time to call an audible, if there was ever a time to miss work and go hunt, this is the time, the big mega storm here. And so thankfully I got good guys that work hard, and I was able to keep tabs on things throughout the middle of the day and still make some phone calls on things and handle some things. But it's also a winter storm out with a foot of snow and below zero and wind blowing, and guys work through a lot of it. Got a little bit of I don't even think I had any inside work. I do have some inside work for winter, so it was pretty much all exterior, and I think they took off a day, and then other than that, worked away, but they could make do without me. Tough for me to be gone for a week, but easy for me to be gone for a day. So, this was my all-in time. I just kept behind my glass, kept trying to find these things and find some elk I could hunt, and also try to find a good 6-point that I wanted to kill. And so, bombing around in this deep snow, chasing these elk, and finally, wasn't the day the storm break. It was kind of the next day. Set Ryan up on those elk, and I was going to go cruising glass, and I found a great big bull on a feature, and it was like, man, can I get to him? And it was like I couldn't get to him in the morning where he was at. It was almost like, it was almost like an evening spot. And, in the morning they were so spread out, and by the time I got up there in a foot and a half of snow, it was going to be 2 hours later. And, So I just figured, like, okay, I know where a good one's at. Nobody's hunting them. I'll go in tonight and I'll go hunt that bull and hopefully be able to catch up to him and get a play, get a stock, and maybe get a good arrow in them. And so that was kind of my play for the evening. But I'm in a spot and I'm hunting, and so just better keep looking around. And so and then I glass up just the mega herd. Like, they had piled out of the mountains. They had showed up on the spot I expected them to show up. It was just like a day later. And nobody's hunting them. And I throw my glass up, I throw my spotting scope up, and instantly I see a handful of shooters. And to me, a shooter's a big 6-point, and there's a handful of them in there that I just saw at first glance, and it was like, man, I gotta go. And I definitely had like a few miles in deep snow to kind of get over to them. But it's a big enough herd. They're bugling and rutting. I mean, here it is, below zero with the wind chill, and these elk are bugling and rutting. And what they do, like the rut wanes in October for sure. But the elk start grouping up in these big groups, and then out of those big groups, out of 100 cows, one of those cows will come into second cycle estrus. Like, if they don't get bred the first time around in September, they come back in October, and so you get this big of a group together, and some of these cows will come back into estrus, and not only that, but there's a bunch of bulls in there. And so then these bulls have competition for that 1, 2, 3 cows that come back into estrus. And so, they'll continue to rut and continue to rut hard. Now, if I was to find a smaller group with a bull in it, he doesn't have much competition, and maybe those cows aren't coming into estrus, and so he doesn't have to bugle as much. But in this big herd, they were rutting like crazy. They were bugling and carrying on, and it's super snowy and cold. There's 1.5 feet of snow and bitter cold, and these elk have to feed. And so they were out that morning. And so I had some miles to cover in the deep snow, and I just started pushing it, sweat coming down my brim, and bow in hand, and started cruising these miles trying to get into this big party of elk. Like, this is the party I wait all year for. You get into a party like this, you got a good chance to kill a bull. And so I covered the miles quick, and they were still just milling around. And so I started playing the game, and there was this giant 6x7 that was in the herd. And I was really chasing him at first, but, there's so many good 6-points in this group. There's a handful of bulls that I'll shoot in there and just need to get the chance. And so I start tailing the herd, and I'm just keeping that element of surprise. Like, I'm working these elk, but I'm making sure that I don't spook anything. And I was taking one approach at this 6x7 and getting ready to cut them off and coming through these willows. And I came to the other side of the willows, and there's a cow and calf, like right there, 20 yards. It's like I'm just stuck, or start moving in, and there's 2 bulls working up the mountain, or there's a 5-point above me. And so I just have to freeze and just let them keep moving on, and just know that the most important thing here is to keep the element of surprise, that I can hunt these elk all day long. There's nobody else on them. It's just me versus these elk. As long as I don't let them know that I'm after them, like I got a chance. I just got this great wind in my face, and I'm just playing the game. I'm playing the elk game. This is what I've been waiting for all season long. Like, I had some chances in close calls and got into elk, but here it is, the bulls I want to shoot, and I'm just playing the game. And so I'm tailing them and freezing here and there, and they're rutting. I mean, just more bugles, 300 bugles that morning, 500 bugles that morning. They're just going nuts, It's such action. It's so exhilarating. It's and really, like, I talk about bow hunting and my love for it, and what I'm really chasing the dragon for me is the action. I love having action. I love getting a stock, getting a play, and over the years, I've realized that the harder I work at it, the more action I can get, the more action I can create, and that's why I build all these skill sets of locating elk and finding elk and my spot and stock skills and my shooting skills. But I hone my e-scouting, all of these skill sets that I work on make me a better elk hunter to hopefully give me these encounters, these close calls, this action. I love being able to make a stock and make a play. To me, it feels like what all the hard work's for. It feels like even if I have to drive halfway across the country, if I get into them and I get a chance, like, that makes the trip for me. I love that excitement. I love being able to make a play, and there's 100 right decisions you have to make in those encounters, and I really rely upon my instincts to move in and, like, freezing with those cows or freezing with that 5-point bull above me, or chasing the herd but not pushing it too far, waiting till they get to the right spot. Like, I'm shadowing the herd, I'm coyoting the herd, and this is my favorite tactic for these elk is just to shadow this herd and just wait. And so I'm shadowing this herd and waiting for them to get to a right spot and making plays. And I mean, I'm playing on them for, an hour and a half, I'm playing the game in there, and it's so exciting and so many good bulls that I'll shoot. I'm pumped. This is the reason why I bow hunt, and I am in it. Big, massive snowstorm. It's snowing in the morning. It reminds me, I cut my teeth, or I hunted a lot. When I first started elk hunting, I would hunt with a bow and hunt with a rifle, and I learned an immense amount about elk and elk behavior and elk hunting late season with a rifle, and also gained a lot of toughness from it. You have to hunt in the cold. It's a different kind of toughness. You got to keep warm. And then during rifle season, man, the rifle guys, they go hard. You got a rifle in your hands, and guys want to kill an elk, and there's a lot of general rifle guys, and man, they go hard as all get out, covering miles and getting into places. And so it's almost like during rifle season, you have to put more effort in, and not more effort, but there's just different challenges that come along with the season. Also during general rifle, the elk tighten up their program, and you have to keep mentally sharp. You spend a lot of time looking for a bull, and day in, day out, you just have to continue to put forth this effort. So I learned a ton from hunting late season elk with my rifle. Taught me a bunch of lessons that I use today, and I just got to the point where I started to get really effective with my bow. And the deal is I'd kill a big bull with my rifle and go, gosh, I really wish I'd kill one like this with my bow. And it's like, well, the only way I'm going to do that and kill a big bull with my bow is to put all my effort into it. And that's when I started to transition to this bow only. And really, I love hunting elk with my bow. I fell in love with archery hunting and bow hunting and getting close and the challenge of it. And when something's so challenging, you have to work harder at it. And so, eventually I got to the place where I could be consistently successful with my bow. And if I really wanted to kill these big bulls with my bow, I had to put the effort into it. I had to take all my time during archery season and not mess with rifle season. Now that's not right for everybody. Everybody's got to make their own decision, and a lot of these guys that hunt with multi-weapon are really smart and really great hunters. They're great bow hunters, they're great rifle hunters. They're taking every advantage they can to try to kill a good bull, and also the more time you spend in the field, the more you're going to learn, the better elk hunter you're going to be. So hunting these late seasons is good, but for me in my own journey, we all have to make our own decisions. For me, I just fell in love with that bow and working hard at it and getting close and the challenge of it. And so, that's when I committed to, I'm either going to kill these bulls with a bow or I'm not going to kill them. I'd also progressed my skill set to a point where that was feasible year in, year out, to kill a bull with my bow, to kill bucks with my bow. Like I was good enough to make that transition and still provide the meat for my family and still be successful. And I just knew I could do it. And so for me, the decision was right, because I always stayed in a bow hunter's mindset. I always see an elk and how do I get into bow range? How do I get 50 yards? How do I get the wind right? It seems like with the rifle, I could get a little bit sloppy with my wind. I could get a little bit sloppier with my stocks. And if I always keep in this bow hunter mindset, I'm also, it's going to be difficult, but I'm going to gain a ton of experience. I'm not going to be successful all the time, but that's, I'm going to get all this experience trying to bow hunt them. But so getting all this bow hunting experience, then when it came to early season high country mule deer, I had, I've got a bunch more days than everybody else bow hunting. I had progressed these bow hunting skills that give me a better chance at killing a 200-incher, killing a great big buck. When it came to elk bow season, I have a ton of experience. I've progressed my bow hunting skill to where I have a better chance at success than most guys because I've bow hunted more days. I've failed more than most guys. I've seen more scenarios. And so for me, the goal was to just really start progressing my bow hunting skill set. So that's what I did on these elk. It's just using these bow hunting skills that I have used over the years, but this late season reminded me of like that late rifle elk and that toughness it takes and hunting them in the deep snow. And I've always wanted a snow bull. My buddy Robin, we killed one. It's been a few years now, but killed a really big 6-point during one of these snowstorms, and I was right by his side as he arrowed it at 40 yards, and it was just this incredible 6-point. It was Robin's first bull he had killed, and to be part of that was amazing. But deep down, I'd always wanted a snow bull, like in a, and I've killed deep snow bulls with my rifle, but never really with my bow. And here's my chance. Playing the game, and I'm coyoting and shadowing this herd, and I'm waiting for my opportunity. And all of a sudden, this, the elk start to go over this rise, and I'm working through these sparse trees, and now's my time to try to catch up to the herd. And so, I'm working hard in the deep snow and trying to make my way to this ridge, and also keeping my eyes open to make sure I don't bump into any elk. And all of a sudden, I catch this elk above me, and it's two bulls, and they're leaving the herd. And a lot of times these bulls will leave the herd and only get with them morning and night. And the 1 6-point is a good one. Big and heavy, dark horns, dark tines, and he's up above me, and he's cutting back to my right. And so I duck over the ridge, and it's now or never time. It's like, man, it's a shooter bull I want to shoot, and he's cutting back right, and I have a chance to cut this bull off. So, I start scrambling up and up. I've got this ridge in between us now. He's coming up above me, and he's going to cross, and it's just all I'm worth. It's all those running miles. It's that peak physical fitness. It's it's knowing that I can get to a spot, and man, I am just going. A ridge in between us, so everything's hidden. No elk can see me, and I am pushing uphill for all I am worth. I don't know if it's a jog in the snow, but it's definitely as fast as I can hike straight up this hill to cut off this bull. And I'm pushing it and pushing it, looking above me for him to show up, and I'm just driving hard up the hill. And as I drive hard up that hill, all of a sudden, here he comes, and that bull comes across, and able to get a good range on him. He's like 60 yards or 62 yards, something like that, and comes across, and man, pull back my bow, and again, execution. And I've been walking around all season thinking about my execution, and come to full draw, and go through my progression and my steps and put that pin where I want it and don't punch it off. I pull, here we go. Pull, shot breaks, and man, I mean, it X'd him. Hit him absolutely perfect. Couldn't have walked up and placed that arrow any better in him. 12 ring. But, I hit him in the 12 ring, runs off, he's bleeding really good, and runs over the hill. I'm just thinking, man, I did it. I can't believe it. This tough of a season, late into October, and I just arrowed a great bull. But as we all know, it's not over till it's over, and you got to recover that elk. And so I gave him, really of his minimal amount of time. I probably should have given him 45. I gave him a good 30 minutes. Went up and caught good blood in the snow, and started tracking him down. And gosh, I get over there, and I jump him out of his bed like 100 yards over. And, the deal is the arrow went in the perfect place, and it must have angled up, like he must have rolled at the shot or slightly quartering away, where it went in tight behind the front shoulder and went forward in him. But, the reality is I just jumped him, and so, it's cold as all get out, but I just need to give him some more time. He's going to die, didn't make it far. You always hope or wish that, you want to make the cleanest, fastest kill you can, but... sometimes you're just faced with the conditions, and I hit the spot I was aiming for, and, who knows, that arrow just took a weird angle through him or something, but it went down, gave him some time, and then went and recovered him. He went down in some thick stuff and died down in there, and able to recover him, and just this great dark-horned Madison 6-point. It's like in my home range, using my knowledge. It's been a long season. Probably hunted like I was 15 to 20 days or so of hunting, and man, I did it. Closed on a really great bull. Man, it's unreal. Like try not to tie everything into success, but it sure feels good when you place a perfect arrow in a bull and kill him like that. And good 6-point. So yeah, worked him over and got him packed out. Met up with my buddy Ryan. He gave me help with the last load out of there. But yeah, able to butcher these bulls by myself. I just love it, man. I love bow hunting. I love bow hunting elk. To have it all come together in the end, and I would have enjoyed my season either way, and I love the process, but man, does that feel good when it comes together. It feels like magic sometimes. It's like you just keep putting forth effort, and then eventually you're presented with an opportunity, and then capitalize on it. Just so amazing, man, so amazing. So work that bull. I've got this way that I work them, and you kind of take pictures of bulls where they end up. So the pictures are in that willow patch down in there that he died in. But start working them, and what I do is I work one side, and so I skin them, and I actually skin from the legs up. I've seen some guys do it where they make a cut on the back. I actually make my cut on the belly, and then up the inside of the legs, and then I skin one whole side of them and get the hide flopped over. Front quarter's easy. Just pull that leg up, and there's just like sinew, or there's just like skin where you just start cutting that quarter off, and you can get that quarter all the way off. And boy, how nice is it to butcher in the snow? All of a sudden, I'm not setting all the meat on game bags and things. And I think I start packing like a small Visqueen with me to set the meat on. But game bags work okay for me, and usually set the meat on that. But with snow, you just set them in the snow. It's just great. And then work the hind quarter off, start pushing the hind quarter, and basically I work the back of the hind quarter and find that bone and kind of carve my way around it, work my way up to the socket. I cut the socket, and I don't get in front of the socket until the socket's cut, because once you get in front, you hit this big artery that'll splash blood everywhere, and then it makes it tough to find that socket. But yeah, basically work the socket and then just follow it all the way down that bone, take that back quarter off. And then I take that back strap off, and then I go in and get the tenderloin, the boneless method, where I just start back and I start cutting like under the be like under the hip, under the spine and the ribs, under where that back strap is, start separating that, cut it away from the stomach, get my tenderloins. And then once I work one side, and I bone out all my meat too, just elk bones are so heavy that I get it in the snow, bone it out, get it in game bags. And then once I work one side, I've fought trying to roll these things over by myself, but what I do then is I take off the head. That way those 6-point horns aren't trying to catch in the dirt and trying to flip over his head. It makes it just so much easier. So get the head off, and then I'm able to clean and press the 2 legs and get them pushed over, skin the other side, repeat the process. And it's a labor of love. I'd love elk meat. In fact, just had steaks last night. But yeah, it's so much good organic protein. It's just the best meat on the planet. So fortunate to have elk meat again this year and get that bull taken care of. Ryan helps me make the last load out, and he had got into some good elk action that day. I was psyched to see that, and yeah, bull down. Mission accomplished. Great bull, great 6-point down this season. Man, it's just amazing. Just amazing. So, yeah, wrap that up. I mean, riding a high from that deal. Got my snow bull, great 6-point I'm super psyched with, and it came together. But it just makes me realize that, I need to keep putting forth effort into elk season. I need to keep putting forth effort into my bow hunting skills. I almost had that giant Colorado buck, and then, did kill a good bull, killed a good Nevada buck. Like I've had a phenomenal season for sure, but, I can't rest on my laurels. I can't rest on my elk knowledge and think I'm going to repeat it next year without a ton of work. I got to continue to improve, and I need to continue to improve my life as well. And making sure I'm spending quality family time. I've got so much support from my family during hunting season, and it's just due to me, being a good husband, being a good father, doing everything I need to do to make sure I can get the time, and also need to structure that work just a little bit different. There's a ton of houses around and good clients, and I'm really fortunate to be able to make a living here and have the work, but I just need to structure it a little bit different, and just make sure I don't have 3 homes going during hunting season. Like, that's ridiculous. I can keep my guys busy with 1 home, make less money and have less stress and have more time. So I need to keep structuring my life that way, and also I just need to work hard in the off season, man. I mean, 15 to 20 days hunting elk. I mean, all these mountain miles, all this effort. Like, man, you got to be in good physical shape, and also be good at locating elk. Be making sure I'm doing the e-scouting. All those little things, all those things I talk about year in, year out. Like success on a bull elk in Montana, or success on elk, I think is 6% with a bow during general season. Might even be 4% for a bull or something. 6%, that's 1 bull every 20 years. Like, I just don't accept that. I want to kill a good 6-point every year. So, if that's the case, I'm going to have to put in more work than 95% of the people out there. It's like, so I just need to continue to put in the work, and then make sure I'm hunting elk throughout the season to give myself the best chance at it. And I may not kill a big 6-point next year. It's just the way it is. It's just bow hunting, but I know that I'm going to put maximum effort here in the off season, maximum effort come season. I'm going to structure my life towards elk season. Like, I wouldn't bet against me. Let's just put it that way. It's like, I'm going to put in the work to be successful again next year. But man, what an amazing season. And so finish up elk season, back to work, getting some things done, and then into late season muleys. Still fortunate, still got a couple tags in my pocket. So I've got a Montana general season, general rifle opened up. But they allow me to hunt with my bow during general rifle. I just have to wear orange. And so it's hunting season. I'm gonna hunt. So I had the weekend, and actually took Friday, and then went and bombed over into one of my favorite spots. Hooked up with my buddy Dylan Ness. Such a great guy, such a great bow hunter. He killed a good bull this year. In a general season, he didn't draw the tag he wanted, but he battled through it anyways and arrowed a good bull. Super proud of that guy, and so fun to hang out with him. I had so many good laughs, and so we bombed in and started hunting mulies. I have this spot that takes a bunch of miles to get into. It's crazy miles, but we've kind of found a spot where these bucks like to refuge before the rut. And it's kind of like these bucks' hidey hole. And so, October hunting for mule deer is the toughest season to hunt them. Like, they're in bachelor herds. And so, say there's 10 bucks on the landscape. Now these 10 bucks aren't spread out throughout the landscape, rutting and moving by themselves. So you just don't see as many. They're batched up and they're in a bachelor herd. And so there may be 200 coulees and canyons, and these 10 bucks are in one of them. And they're running a tight program where they're not showing themselves much. So, it's a difficult time of year to hunt them, but I've located some of these spots where these bucks hang out, and that I know, I'm going to bump into some bucks and hopefully find them. So I went in with Dylan, it's pre-rut. It's like, it's October, so they're no rutting sign yet, but start bombing in there, and sure enough, we run into some bucks. First group of bucks, 7-8 bucks, hiding in a little basin, just like I'm talking about. And we're actually hunting our way through, and I spot them before they spot us. And they're about 160 yards away. And there's one buck in there with a big body. I'll post it on my Instagram. I will post more on Instagram too. Gosh, I haven't been keeping up with it like I should. But I will. I'll get better here. But I'll post a picture up. But he's just got this big body, but his rack's not quite there. He's kind of like a tight 4-point, pretty narrow. I mean, his body looks like he's getting to be 4 or 5 years old, but just not quite there yet. He's the biggest one in the group, and so we both pass and we keep hunting, and basically it's just a bonsai trip. I mean, I've got to drive Friday. I pick Dylan up at noon. We bomb in that night, hike till dark. And like I say, I think we did 30 miles and, a half day, full day, half day. So, what is that? 2 days of hunting or whatever. So covered a bunch of miles, which is so cool, with the backpack on and camp on the back. It's just like that is the purest way to bow hunt. It's so fun. We bomb in and good weather, so we think. And a lot of times during this good weather, we'll do what's called cowboying. Or I guess that's our term for it. I mean, it's not I don't know if it's a real term, but basically we just throw out our pads, throw out our sleeping bag, and we just sleep in the dirt, especially when it's dry out. And we'll do this out of the truck a bunch too, sleep in a cot or whatever. And what it allows us is to be mobile. So we can load up all our stuff, whether it's load up all our stuff in our truck, or in this case, we're backpacking, but we can load up our camp on our back and continue to hunt back into country and just hunt with our pack on our back. The other thing it allows us to do is go super light. You lose the weight of a tent, but you just don't have all the setup and pickup, and so you can make sure you're to the vantage points at the right time. And not that you can't do this with a tent or the bivy tent. And really, that bivy tent is so easy. I should be bringing it everywhere I go, but a lot of times we cowboy. And so, I've got a little bivy sack, but I've had it for 20 years. And I put some more waterproofing on it. But let's just say it's good for a sprinkle, not good for a rainstorm. But we looked at the forecast, and we got a dang good forecast. It's supposed to be just sunny and hot. And really for late October, it's it's going to be 60 degrees and 40 degrees at night. Just really nice weather for covering country. Dry, no snow or anything, no rain. And so we rally in there and we cowboy and found those first bucks we passed, and then we get on this backside and looking at this spot where we just know bucks hang out, and found a couple good ones in there. Nice solid big 4-points I'd be stoked to hunt with. And so we kind of hem-haw who's gonna make a play or stalk, and I'd love to have Dylan make a stalk and kill one of these bucks. In fact, I owe him the stalk, and kind of his goal for the season is a big next level buck. And for me, these are good bucks. I think one's probably 160, the other one's probably 170, but they're older, big bodied, great deep forks on both of them. One has eye guards, one's clean. And Dylan gives me the stock on that big 170, and man, we played it perfect. We rally. It's a couple miles around these bucks, and then we've got this bench. We've got a good wind, and then from the bench, he's laying there, and I should be able to shoot him. But I get to the bench, and I glass, and all I can see is his horns, and he's looking away from me. Perfect. He doesn't know we're there. And so I'm trying to get me and Dylan into position. Dylan's filming for me, by the way. to trying to capture this on film. And again, this just goes back to filming and the added degree of difficulty of trying to have a cameraman, 2 guys, or solo film. It's so difficult. But, that's it's I'm fortunate to have the opportunity that I do, and and you can get 2 guys in, especially when they're 2 good hunters. It's like you can totally do it. And so we close in, and I'm 30 yards from this buck. We make a perfect quiet approach. And I'm standing, and I can see his horns looking away, but I can't see his head, his eyes, can't see his body. And so we're going to have to wait for him to stand. And, my mistake here is, like, I see the horns, and I get pretty excited, and I'm going to get us into position. I whisper to Dylan, I'm going to get a few more yards and get to my knees, and then I'm going to shoot this buck, And so I get to my knees, and I get set up, and Dylan's behind me. And Dylan, he's got, like, he doesn't have the right vantage, and he's looking through the camera viewfinder. Now, what I should have done when I was standing there and I saw the horns is just be calm, be cool. He doesn't know we're there. We've got a great wind. We've got the element of surprise. We've got everything we need. And I should have whispered to Dylan, hey, pull up your binos and find him. He's right in between those 2 trees right there in those horns. And so that's what I should have done. What I did is I crawled a few yards, got to my knees, got a range, got my bow in front of me, and I'm ready to shoot this buck. Now, Dylan's behind me, but his perspective is different. He's lower than me, so he can't really see the horns of this buck. He just knows, he sees the excitement in my eyes and knows it's going to happen, and he's behind me, and he really wants to get the shot on film, And so he kind of taps me on the shoulder and says, I can't see him, and I say, okay. And so I'm trying to get him on him with the camera so he can see him, and I'm trying to have him pull up his binos and look at the buck. And I whispered to him, he's in between the 2 trees. I whispered so light, and when I turned back around, that buck's staring right in my direction. He heard me whisper from 30 yards. I can't believe it. I was so quiet with that whisper. We've got a wind blowing in our face, wind whistling through the trees. But the only thing I can come up with is that he heard me whisper to Dylan, he's in between the 2 trees. Like, he heard the tee. And we joked about it later, and it wasn't Dylan's fault, he definitely heard me whispering or whatever, but he's looking right at me. So now I have to get ready, and so now, I'm ready, and as the buck, he's looking in my direction, and I know something's going to happen, so as he starts to stand, I draw my bow, and, he stands. I just don't get time to loose an arrow. Like, he stands and just bolts out of his bed, and that's just the way it goes. I gave up that element of surprise. He heard me whisper, so it just reminds me, and I whispered so quiet. And I held my hand to my mouth so that my hand is in between me and the buck, and I'm whispering so quiet. But, again, I'm 30 yards away. And so that buck blew out of there. He was better than me that day. Gosh, I just had him. But it's just bow hunting, just live and learn, It was a great close encounter. The smaller of the 2 went down there and paused and looked back, and man, he was just a great chocolate-horned eye guards. It's a great buck, but the bigger one gave us the slip. But super cool close encounter, and really it's like opening day at rifle season, so it's opening day for me. I'm gonna get more chances, I'm gonna get more time to hunt, like it just is what it is. But you got to make good on those encounters and those chances that I get. But that's just bow hunting. So it definitely wasn't Dylan's fault. What a great buddy. Give me the stock. What a great buddy to follow me around with the camera and try to film me. I mean, the stock took us forever. Like, it's a couple miles and all this elevation loss and gain. And like I say, we did 30 over a couple days. So guy is tough as nails. And so I just can't thank him enough. It's not his fault. It was me whispering. And just got to be better in those situations. I guess use hand signals, or just like absolutely whisper in that guy's ear. It's a good learning lesson, especially as I'll have a cameraman again, and just to make sure that I don't give up that element of surprise. I'm gonna whisper in his ear as quiet as I could possibly be. But so we kept hunting, kept covering miles, and we made camp that night. place I wanted to make camp. And we that night, it was overcast all day long, and forecast was good and things, but we cowboyed out that night, and it poured on us. I don't know where that storm came from, but it rained on us for 4 or 5 hours, and rained so hard, and we're just in those bivy sacks. And bivy sacks are great for warm weather, for good weather. They suck for storms. And so, I had water pouring from my bivy sack into my sleeping bag, and it's just like anything laid out or anything exposed is getting wet. And I don't have like a bar in mine. It's just a zipper, so you got like the Gore-Tex right over your face and you can't breathe. So I don't zip it up, but then it was just rain was coming around all areas. So it was a miserable night. We eventually, like about 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock or something, woke up and built a fire and kind of warmed up. I mean, I wasn't cold, but everything was just getting damp. And, it's, I had that song, that Kid Rock song playing in my mind or in my head. So you want to be a cowboy, baby? Just like, it's so fun with a buddy where you're just laughing and making jokes and things. And, it wasn't dangerous for Dylan and I. We'd been in enough scenarios, and it wasn't that cold either. It was just wet. But, you just have some really good laughs or whatever. But, yeah, we woke up, made a fire, dried out. Kind of found a better spot, like underneath some trees, a little bit more protected. I don't know if it was a better spot because it still dripped on us all night from the trees, but I caught a few hours of sleep anyways. And then looked around that morning. We passed a nice 3-point with a hook cheater on it. Just wasn't quite there, a little bit young, and bombed out of there, and back to work, and back resetting, and try to go out again and keep hunting these things. The rut should be coming on. We're just coming to the end of October here, so I've seen that rut start around November 1st or so. November 5th is even a better date. And just keep hunting muleys, keep having fun, keep going with my buddies, and trying to capture some things on camera. If I have success, great. If I don't, it's not that big of a deal. Like just enjoy the adventure and enjoy the experience. I've already had a great season, and so just try to get out as much as I can. And I've got that tag, and then I've got another late season tag, and so just continue to bow hunt in the snow and in the cold, and rutting mule deer, which I absolutely love. So that's what I'm going to be up to anyways. Every free chance I get, and I definitely got to get work done and responsibility. We're wrapping up one of these houses, really need to get the clients in there, and got another one that we're going to frame up, and then it's only summertime access, so we're going to leave it for the season. We're about framed up there, get the windows in, get this place all dried in, leave it for the season, get my stuff out of there, and then we've got another one that we're framing up that we have wintertime access to, so that'll kind of get me through the year and get me into springtime. So that's why I've got 3 of them going, and then I do have some other smaller jobs, just wrapping up some concrete for my sister, did some work for her, built a garage and resided her place, and just kind of helping her out, doing it for cost. And then I've got a client that I built a house for that's just a great client, and so we're going to do a garage for him and finish his basement this year, which will be great inside work, and so be able to work that in. And he's a great guy. He's been elk hunting like crazy too, and it's kind of his first year here living in Montana, and he goes hard. He grabs good vantage points. He stays to the last light. He's doing all the right things, and had close encounters with the bull, passed up a long shot on a bull that was 10 yards past his max, like really good discipline there. But just really happy for him. He was able to get into action and get into elk, and really embrace the experience, and he's going to fit in really good with the community, but got to do a few things for him, and then take care of my responsibilities, and keep enjoying life and being happy, and make sure I'm there spending time with my family. It was nice closing on that bull. I was able to take my family. Daughter's getting ready to go to college, and so we were able to go visit this college she's thinking about and go watch the volleyball game and spend the weekend with them, and so that worked out really good. And keep living life. Hope you guys are getting out, doing some hunting. Thought I'd get you guys an update here on my season thus far, and man, it's been fun. So pumped with that bull, man, so pumped. it's crazy when it comes together. It does feel like magic, but just keep putting in the work, and success comes. So hope you guys are having a good season, and I sure am enjoying everybody's social media and the kind messages, and just really appreciate you guys and support on this podcast, allowing me to do this. I mean, I think we're into our 6th year now, and just keep trying to get you guys that good information and entertaining content. Like, I know, we're all just traveling so much on the road, trying to get to these spots and get to these hunting areas. And so, if I can entertain you along the way and maybe get you some insight or some tips and tactics that help you out, it just means the world to me. So thank you guys. Appreciate you. And with that, I'll check in with you next week.